Welcome back to the History Podcast, everyone. I'm Gustavus.
And I'm Christina, and today we're diving into a truly fascinating, if somewhat tragic, tale from maritime history.
We're talking about the Vasa, Christina, a ship that, let's just say its maiden voyage was remarkably short-lived.
Remarkably short is an understatement, Gustavus. So picture this. It's August 10th, 1628. The Vasa, this absolutely stunning, heavily decorated warship, departs from Stockholm Harbor. It's got 64 heavy bronze guns. I mean, it must have been a sight to behold.
Oh, absolutely. And there was like this huge crowd watching from the shore, right? Everyone was there for the big launch. But here's the thing, Christina. The ship, it didn't even make it that far. It sailed roughly, 1,300 meters? Or actually, it sank much closer, like 120 meters from shore.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. So what happened? Well, the ship had 4 sails open, and its lower gun ports, they were exposed for a salute. There was just a light breeze at first, and it kind of heeled the ship sharply to port.
And then a stronger gust hit, right? And this is where it gets really, really bad.
Exactly, because those gun ports, the ones that were open for the salute, they were barely 1.2 meters above the waterline. So when it tilted, water it rushed right in, flooding the lower gun deck almost instantly.
And that was it, wasn't it? Within minutes, the Vasa just capsized and sank 32 meters deep, right there in full view of thousands of horrified spectators. I mean, can you imagine seeing that happen?
Oh, the absolute shock. And tragically, about 30 people drowned, mostly those who were trapped below decks. But, it's incredible how many actually did escape. Almost everyone else aboard, crew, invited guests, they managed to get out.
Yeah, I mean, some climbed the masts, others clung to debris. Many were rescued by nearby boats or even, swam that 120 meters to shore. It sounds like pure chaos, though. First-hand accounts talk about officers frantically cutting sails, casting off sheets, trying to secure those gun ports. But it was too late.
Far too late. And naturally, after such a public disaster, there had to be an inquiry. So a Privy Council tribunal convened just a few weeks later on September 5th, 1628. They interrogated everyone, surviving crew, officers, shipwrights, even experts.
They were looking into everything, right? The rigging, the ballast, how the guns were secured, even the state of the crew and the weight distribution. But, typical bureaucracy, Christina. Nobody really took responsibility.
No, everyone pointed fingers. The shipbuilders claimed they just followed the royal specifications. And the officers, they insisted the crew was sober and compliant. In the end, blame was, quietly placed on the deceased original builder, Henrik Hybertson, and no one was actually punished.
Which, is a bit of a cop-out, wouldn't you say? But the fundamental cause, ultimately, was instability. The Vasa just had dangerously poor stability due to improper weight distribution. Its hull was too narrow and, critically, too top-heavy.
Exactly. And the ballast, which was only about 72 tons, was completely insufficient to counteract the weight of those heavy bronze cannons and the very ornate upper decks. I mean, it even did a pre-launch stability test where 30 men ran side to side to rock the ship. It rocked dangerously.
It should have been a massive warning sign, but the king insisted she sail. And those lower gun decks being so close to the waterline meant those open ports were, a fatal vulnerability.
Absolutely. So what was intended as the pride of the Swedish Navy, the Vasa, it became this really tragic engineering failure. A stark lesson, really, highlighting the perils of political pressure overriding naval safety.
Yeah, but it's not the end of the Vasa's story, is it? She was rediscovered in the late 1950s and then remarkably raised in 1961. And the amazing thing is, she was incredibly well preserved, all thanks to the cold, low salinity, and low oxygen environment of Stockholm Harbor.
It's truly incredible. And today, the Vasa is housed at the Vasa Museum in Stockholm, standing as the best preserved 17th century warship in the entire world. And it continues to provide just invaluable archaeological insights.
So, to recap, the Vasa's sinking on August 10, 1628, was ultimately the result of a really unfortunate combination of factors: overweight upper structures, insufficient ballast, open lower gun ports, and, crucially, a failure to heed those very clear warnings about instability.
And even though the public inquiry found no one directly culpable, the vessel now stands preserved as this incredible, cautionary tale. A stark reminder, I think, of engineering hubris and royal impatience.
A very important lesson from history indeed. And that's our deep dive into the Vasa for today.
Thank you so much for joining us on the History Podcast. We'll be back next time with another fascinating story.